Okay. Good morning, my dear brothers and sisters, and happy meeting to everyone. And good morning to all our online brethren. This wonderful morning, I would like to offer a song. It is entitled Tanging Gabay.
Thank you, Brother Manasi, for your emotional talk and also the interval song of Sister Linda. And now let's give the discussion, but before that, let's pray. Special prayer. Second, to invite the presence of the Holy Spirit. And now let's give the discussion.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Feast of Trumpets. We are in the second episode of the subject entitled The Special Message, 10 days before the great and final day of atonement. Good morning, good friends, and to our online listeners, good evening.
Hello. Good morning, my dear brothers and sisters. Special greetings to all our brethren in Colorado, Georgia, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, Chicago, California, New York, DG Island, Mexico, Spain, Africa, Zambia, Kenya, Pakistan, UK, Australia, and Malaysia. Welcome to our morning study or discussion.
Welcome.
Hey.
Hello, welcome and to our study. So this is a continuation of our topic or episode. By the way, if you want more studies, just look for the Layman's Movement YouTube channel.
Yes.
Our YouTube channel, the Layman's Movement, or in the Facebook page, the Layman's Movement. Just like or follow. So subscribe to our pages. By the way, I'm Brother Vince, together with Sister Anna Marie, Brother Jared, and Sister Lords. So we're going to now start our discussion, or short discussions. If you have questions, just write the questions in the comment section. So, let us begin. Brother Jared.
Here in TSR page 187, it says here, in the sanctuary construction and service is revealed the plan of salvation.
So we know that construction and service is pointing to Christ's mediatorial work in the heavenly sanctuary, by which the plan of redemption began through the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and completed to Christ's mediatorial work in the heavenly sanctuary.
So therefore, it is very important to understand this work of Jesus Christ, right? Every Christian knows about Christ crucifixion. But how about the mediatorial work in the heavenly sanctuary? So it is very important because it is according to our reading, it revealed the plan of salvation.
Yes.
Especially in this vision, according to the Great Controversy, page 489, the sanctuary in heaven is the very center of Christ's work in behalf of man. It concerns every soul living upon the earth. So, bringing us down to the very close time and revealing the triumphant issue of contest between righteousness and sin. So, it is really important to study this subject.
So from Christ's crucifixion into Christ's mediatorial work, the plan of salvation is completed. So it is very important that we know concerning about it.
And this is the topic that we should study, right? Because in Timely Greetings, volume 1, number 51, page 5 and 6, that if the church is not commensurably growing and expanding, how can she be a living church? And how can she keep up with the signs of the times and with the progress in the sanctuary above? So meaning, what is the activities in the sanctuary above or the heavenly sanctuary? It is some sort of present truth that relates to the growing of the church, right? If we have, it is in connection with the growing or expanding of the church, or the knowledge of the sanctuary, of the occurrences in the heavenly sanctuary, the judicial proceedings. So if we don't follow the progress, so it means that our church is not growing, right, my brothers and sisters?
Yes, we can discern. We can discern the church that is this. We can discern if the church is in progress, that is the church of God.
And where can we find that in the Bible? What book that specifically studies the judicial proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary? Brother Jared.
It is the book of Daniel and John.
Oh, yes. The book of Daniel that is found in tract number 15, page 13. Now we can differentiate the visions of the two prophets. Can you differentiate, Sister Anna Marie?
Yes, the book of Daniel, his books is concerning about the dead,
Yes.
whereas the book of John is more particularly or concerning about the pertains to the living.
Yes. So that is found in tract number 15, page 13. Both prophets, both seers saw the judicial proceedings.
Yes.
But John, according to Sister Anna Marie, Daniel's only saw the proceedings concerning the dead, the judicial proceedings concerning the dead. Daniel saw only the preparation. Brother Hared?
The preparation that pertains to the
Living. Whereas John
saw
in the book of Revelation, John saw
he saw a whole proceeding
from start to
from start to finish.
Yes, so thank you very much. So that is the visions of the two prophets. Now, let's go to this just connect to this another passage in tract number 15, page 18. Please read, Brother Jared.
Says here, although the proceedings of the first two sessions are somewhat different, they are in all other respects similar.
So, although the proceedings of the two sessions are somewhat different, so they have differences, but they are in some other aspect or respect similar. There are similarities and differences, although this was discussed yesterday or the other day, but we have to repeat it again for the sake of other brethren who did not follow or did not hear the our discussion, the discussion in the previous. So, Sister Anne-Marie, what can you say about this passage? Sister Lords. Sister Lourdes.
So the first judicial session and the second judicial session are things which they were similar, but there are things also by which they are different. So the session.
Yes,
Your question, by
the
the way?
difference between the two sessions, somewhat different. They are in other
Yes.
all respects similar, but the similarity of these two sessions is the bookwork.
So there are many lots of
mistaken.
points in this passage, although this is a short, but there are many points.
Yes.
First, let's get this word session. So what do you
Sessions.
understand this word
When
session?
you talk about session, the proceeding is in
The
the
most holy place.
most holy place.
Yes. When you consider judicial session, that proceeding is in the most holy place, according to 2SR page 199. I will read just a portion of it. The arrangement and the scene as described by John proves that it is a judgment in session, for it is held in the Holy of Holies. So again, we can conclude that when there is judicial session means that the judicial proceeding is being held in the most holy place. Let's go back to our previous PowerPoint, the previous passage. So again, the first two sessions. We understand that session is the judicial session held in
The proceedings is occurred in the most holy place.
So there are first two sessions. So what are
Yes.
the first two sessions?
The first sessions, it is pertain to the dead, and the second is pertains to the living.
Okay. So the first session is for the dead, judicial proceeding for the dead, and the second session is the judicial proceeding that pertains to the living. So again, somewhat now, the proceedings of the first two sessions are somewhat different. So we will discuss what are the difference, and then they are in other aspects similar. So let's find out what are their similarities and what are their differences. Now, in 2SR page 189, let's go to the 289. But first, in track number 15, page 19, let's find out what is the similarity. Right? Similarity, because it says in our previous passage, in track number 15, page 18, they are in all other respects similar. So what is the similarity of these two sessions? So track number 15, page 19.
Says here that the dead are judged in the first session and the living in the second.
So the similarity between the first session and the second session is the bookwork, and it is occurred in the most holy place.
Yes, the bookwork transaction. So let us remember that whenever we say judicial proceedings, the focal point of that is the bookwork, the books, right? In our previous topic, the 66 books in the heavenly sanctuary. And when we say books or judicial proceedings, what are the works in the most holy place?
So the works
Still, Lords,
that has been
what are being done in the
done
most
in the
most holy place?
is blotting out of sins and the granting of rewards.
So that is the work of in the most holy place.
That pertains to judicial session,
Yes.
the first and the second.
Yes, that of course we are discussing the similarity, right? The similarity between the first two sessions, meaning the dead and the living. So it goes to say that in the first session, the session judicial proceedings for the dead, there is a book transaction in the most holy place. So is also for the living, because we are discussing the similarity, right? So in the second judicial session, which is for the living in the most holy place,
Still the same.
still the same. That there is a bookwork transaction in the most holy place. One is for the blotting out of sins, and the second is the granting of rewards. So, but whose sins are to be blotted out, and who are to be granted by the rewards?
Of course.
Only the righteous.
Yes.
Yes, only the
Righteous.
Because why? Why we can say the righteous?
Because the names of the wicked cannot enter the most holy place. Is that?
Yes, because during Christ's ministry, that is exactly the point.
Yes.
That's exactly the point, because we will deal it later. In 2SR page 189, Brother Harriet.
It says here, during Christ's ministration in the holiest of all, which is a throne of judgment, of blotting out sins and granting of reward.
Okay, that is very clear, my dear brothers and sisters.
So, talking about reward, there are two classes of rewards. It is the resurrected saints and the resurrection and the translation.
So those who are rewarded with resurrection are those saints who died, and whereas the translation are those living saints who never tasted death. Of course, if we say blotting out of sins and granting of rewards, this applies to the righteous, because the wicked, their sins will not be blotted out, right? And the reward is resurrection and translation. Of course, these rewards are only those for the righteous.
The only
Brother Harriet. Brother Harriet. Brother Harriet, do you have idea? Against
So,
ang maka-conregate ang makadawat sa reward mga gid ang katong na retain ang ilang ngalan sa ilang sumpa.
Okay. The point raised by Brother Harriet is that he says that only those who will be granted by the reward are those whose names are retained in the Lamb's Book of Life. So therefore, Brother Harriet says retained. There is a process by which some names are not retained, right? So that is in the work of in the holy place. But before we go that, let's go to some point first. So, Sister Lords, what can you further say? So we've discussed about. Oh, can you add something? So we discussed about. We just mentioned about the similarities. The bookwork. So we can understand that, especially today, the living, what happened during the proceedings during the dead, the judicial session, that there is a bookwork transaction in the most holy place, so is also with the living. Now, let's touch a little bit of the differences of these two judicial proceedings. Tract number 15, page 18. Brother Jared.
Here in tract number 15, page 18, the differences are seen in that before the half-hour silence occurs, there is at the throne a sea of glass like unto a crystal. Revelation chapter 4, verse 6. And no one stand on it.
So, according to inspiration, the sanctuary here were surrounded by the sea of glass before the half-hour silence.
So the difference is that in the first session, no one is standing on the sea of glass. This entire sanctuary is surrounded by the sea of glass, clear as crystal, that
And no one stands on
no
it.
one stands on it.
That is the description of the first
First
session.
Yes, and it is surrounded by the sea of glass.
Whereas we can say, in the second session, what happened in the second session? If the first session, no one stands on it,
The second
the
session,
just general term. In the second session, Sister Lords,
of course, there is already standing on it.
yes, there's no one standing on it. And let us remember that in early writings, page 42, I will not read that whole passage, Sister Lords. What does it say in early writings, page 42?
This door was not opened until the mediation of Jesus was finished in the holy place of the sanctuary in 1844. So, this mediation was finished in 1844, but backward to 1844, the door of the holy place. That is the door of the holy place, if I'm not mistaken.
Let us remember that in October 24, that is a very common knowledge, general knowledge of the Seventh-day Adventists, in the Davidian, that date is the day that Jesus Christ entered into the most holy place. But before that, prior to that, what did Jesus do? What did Jesus do? The door was, the veil or the door was not open until the mediation of Jesus Christ was finished in the holy place. So there is a mediation of Jesus Christ in the holy place. So, Sister Anna, we have a diagram here. Can you have a little
So,
demonstration?
this one is the veil.
Veil on.
It's divided the holy place and the most holy place. So this in us backward to 1844.
Yes.
So as we all know that the most holy place was not yet open until the year 1844. So the door of the holy place is still open because the proceeding of the
Jesus Christ ministration. There is still a ministration of Jesus Christ prior to 1844. According to early writings, page 42, this door, meaning this door, the veil, was not open until the mediation of Jesus Christ was finished. So therefore, Jesus Christ mediation of Jesus Christ ministration in this holy place must be finished first.
before the
Veil to be opened in October 22, 1844. But let us remember, let's go back first in Symbol Code Volume 1, number 16, page 2 and 3. What does it say, Brother Ari? Before reading, Sister Anna Marie?
It is concerning about the book of Jude, verses 14 and 15. So, when we talk about verse 14, it is pertaining to the work, or it is the expiration. It is pertaining to that.
Yes, both verses deals with the expiration rather
Yes.
than the commencement of the judgment.
Oh, yes.
Yes, let's give a general term.
So,
Sister Marie, go
The
ahead.
mediation that was happened in before 1844, that is the work of Jesus Christ from the holy place finished or expired. So that is the first expiration concerning about the Jude 14. Is that correct? Yes, the first expiration.
Jude 14 deals with the investigative judgment, right?
Yes.
And Jude
it is pertaining to the investigative judgment.
Verse
that
15 is
pertains to the
more
dead.
on executive.
Oh, yes.
But both deals, investigative judgment in verse 14 and verse 15 is the executive judgment. But the focal point is the expiration.
Yes.
Why is it that we need to to know the expiration is more expiration is more important than commencement. So we can illustrate it just like in the food products or a medicine, right?
Yeah.
Which is more important, knowing the date that is manufactured or knowing the date that it is expired? Which is more important?
Knowing the date which is expired.
Yes,
because that is very important.
Knowing the day when it is manufactured, because
is not
this product is
necessary.
manufactured, the date in let's say January 2021. If you use that, consume that product in February, March, it is very okay, right?
So if you're not aware the expiration, then
But if the expiration is January or March 27, 2021, if you consume that product on April, you might be poisoned, right?
it will cost you harm.
Because it is so that's why we can say that expiration, knowing the expiration, it's much more is the very important than knowing the manufactured.
The date of the
Or we can say we'll apply it in the sanctuary services. Knowing the expiration date of the judicial service is more important than knowing the commencement. But it does not mean that knowing the commencement is not important. It's important, but the very important is knowing the expiration. So let's proceed. Any more?
But the question is, what mediatorial work of Jesus Christ that was expired before 1844? So
What was the work? What is the work?
What is the
Right,
work of
because we
Jesus
are now
Christ?
giving the importance of the expiration. This or the work that was expired on October 22, 1844. Okay, so So, Brother Harid, Symbolic Code Volume 1, number 16, page 2 and 3.
It says here, answer, Jude 14 and 15 are explained in Shepherd's Rod, Volume 2, page 162 and 241. However, we may add the perfect fulfillment of this scripture embrace a period of time in which three judicial events are to expire. Namely, first, the investigative judgment for the dead as he came to his heavenly temple in 1844. Second, the investigative judgment for the living that is soon to take place.
So the focal point of this reading is the investigative judgment for the living. Then the focal point of expiration rather than the commencement, since the focal point expiration, of course, there must be a clue that we could be able to determine and recognize when would be the expiration of the judgment for the living.
Let's go back to the illustration, the sanctuary. So here in the Holy, let us go back first to the groundwork. We can read if you watch our YouTube videos in the also in the Facebook studies, you will learn that there is a particular work in the holy place and the most holy place, and during judgment that pertains to the dead and to the living. And judgment that judicial proceedings for the dead is just a groundwork. So understanding the groundwork will let us know what will also happen in the perfect fulfillment, which is for the living. And let us remember that the Bible pertains, all the subjects of the prophecies of the Bible deals with the perfect fulfillment, which is for the dead, right? So let's go back to the judicial proceedings for the dead, or judicial proceedings that pertains to the dead. Sister Lords?
So before Christ will enter to the most holy place, it must be there is a work first before going into the most holy place. So, first, Jesus Christ will block first the names of all those wicked under the first the fifth seal.
So, you mean to say, we will read the evidences later.
Oh, yeah.
We will just, oh yes, we will just, so, conclusion before the proof. Also, we will have other style in our presentation. So, we will give the conclusion before the proof. So, Sister Lords, go ahead. See, so we will give the proof later. So, you mean to say that in the holy place, as you can see in this, so as you can see, to all our online brethren who are listening, what contains in Brother Jared, what are in the holy place as seen in the diagram?
The things that in the holy place.
What you can see in the holy place?
It is a table of showbread, altar, candlestick, 65 books.
Okay, 65 books.
Why is it that?
Why is it only 65 books, Sister Ana Marie?
Because
Where's the other book? Because there are 66
one
books.
of the 66 books is the book of God the Father. It is in the hand of the God the Father
It is located in the
in the most holy place.
Again, for further proof that there are 66 books in the Heavenly Sanctuary, you can watch our YouTube channel titled 66 Books in the Heavenly Sanctuary. There are lots of episodes. So, Sister Lords, go ahead. So, it says that in Jude chapter 14, the focal point is investigative judgment.
Yes.
So, let's go.
So, Jesus Christ will investigate those names
Written.
in the Lamb's book. Not
Yes,
sealed
one of the
with
books. Yes, what is the one?
Lamb's book not sealed with 7 seals.
Yes, because why does it need investigation?
Because when there is no wicked name that will be entered into the most holy place.
Yes, because the books are commingled with the wheat and tares.
Mix. That is
Mixed
mixed.
multitude.
Yes, according to our reading.
The names of the wheat and tares of that book are commingled.
Yes, we will read timely greetings number 11, page 15 later.
Yes.
Later, let's go back to the illustration first. We will give the proofs later.
So
Okay.
that's why Jesus Christ blotting the names of the wicked before the blotting out of names. So Jesus Christ is the one to blot the names of the wicked, and the angel is the one to blot out the names of the wicked.
Yes.
So that the angels will not confuse, or what the other term is that. So Jesus Christ first blot the name of the wicked.
Okay, blot meaning another term, just mark the names of the wicked.
Yes.
After the investigation. And then later on, during the Day of Atonement,
the angel blot out
the names that are being marked or blot by
Jesus
Jesus
Christ.
Christ. Okay.
So that is the work of Jesus Christ before 1844 that was expired.
Okay, Brother Ared, so what must be the base? So that is for the wicked.
Yes.
But how about the righteous? What are their guarantee that their names will be retained or be brought to the most holy place?
It will be
Sealed. So let's read timely greetings number 11, page 13. Brother Ared.
It says here, other truth even more important must be introduced for the harvest of the living. I say more important truth because they are concerning the living themselves, concerning those who own cases are to be weighed in the balances. Those who personally are to be judged either as sweet or as tares, either as good fish or as bad fish.
Oh, okay. So that is what you mean by Sister Lourdes, right? There is an investigation. Investigation who are the wheat or who are the tares or the good fish and who are the
So-
bad fish. Of course, bad fish and the tares are the wicked ones, right? And the good fish and the wheat are the righteous.
So the destiny of the ones recorded in that book is it depends on their attitude towards the present truth.
Yes, that is, and we will prove later that in every generation, the seal is the present truth. The present truth. So, meaning, first seal, second seal, third seal, up to the seventh seal, in every seal, there is a present truth. And let's go back to the diagram first. So, the diagram, the sanctuary. So, since prior to 1844, those who are being judged here are investigated based on the seals, or they belong, or the present truth they belong, period to they belong. For example, the persons, the people who are judged during the first seal, Adam, and so on and so forth. So their basis for the judgment are the present truth during that time, right? So the second seal, the third seal, the fourth seal, those person living in the first seal will not be judged to the present truth that are living present truth during the second seal. Let's go to in our period. So those who are living in the sixth seal will not be judged to the truth that are being presented during the seventh seal. So during the sixth seal, persons or the saints or the people in the sixth seal during the sixth seal period are judged to the present truth during the sixth seal period, right? In the seventh seal, of course, they will be judged to the present truth during the seventh seal.
So in other words, in every generation, there is a new present truth. So in every seal, there is a present truth intended to them. So let us know who are they or that had been judged in that period of
Prior
time.
to 1844.
Prior to 1844.
So let us remember that these proceedings is done in the third heaven.
Oh, okay, third heaven.
The third heaven.
So we all know that according to inspiration, we'll no longer read that there are three classes of people that
That is tract
that
number 5,
being
page
judged.
109 for
Yes,
reference.
yes.
We will no longer three classes.
we discussed it several times. So that it's the temple, the altar, and the worshippers. Now, directly applied or directly speaking, brothers and sisters, this work that we done in Jesus Christ in the holy place, it pertains to the first 5 seals by which that is the temple.
Represented by the temple.
Yes.
First 5 seals. Again, that is found in tract number 5, page 109. Okay, continue. Sister Alamir.
And the work of these first 5 seals or the temple expired before this period, 1844. That is the application of the Jude 14.
So up to the very saint that died prior to October 22, 1844. So that person remains or belongs to the temple or the
first to fifth seal.
temple that is represented by the first
to fifth seal.
First 5 seals. Okay. Good. Then after the temple, what will be judged? Because there are 3 classes.
So after that, it is the altar.
So altar, what is the period of the altar?
Altar from 1844 to
the expiration.
fulfillment of Ezekiel 9.
Yes, to the fulfillment of the Ezekiel 9. So meaning, the 6th seal.
So there are 2 classes of inanimate object. That is the temple and the altar. So in short, it is pertain to the dead.
So the first 5 seals, or even the 6th seal, refers to the dead. So after this, sister, so we are dealing, because the altar represented by the sixth seal. These persons, or these are those who live or died 1844 upwards, right? So, sisters, go on. Those who will be examined or investigated are prior to 1844.
Are the temple.
Yes, temple
So
first.
which is the first seal, second seal, third seal, fourth, and fifth.
Oh, this is good.
Hey.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Hinay siya. Oh. Hey. So, in October, it's another diagram there. Will you please?
Next diagram.
October 1844, October 22.
Next.
Next slide, please. As this is the work. This is the work. This is the work of Jesus Christ in the holy place.
Before 1844.
Before 1844. So this is the procedure. First, he will blot out first the names of the names. Not out, but blot. It's only blotting, yeah. It is only blotting the names of the wicked. So as you have seen here, so it is book of the first seal, second seal, third, fourth, and fifth. And after that, before Jesus Christ will enter into the most holy place, all those names that are not worthy, it will be blotted out by the angels in October 22, 1844. Am I right?
Yes. Let's base this passage in tract number 3, page 73. The day in which the Lord will blot from His book the names of all sinners. Let us take note of the word blot.
Yes.
Because blot and blotted out is different. It's a different work. So prior to 1844, the work, again, we repeat it again. Prior to 1844, the day in which the Lord will blot the names of all the names of the sinners.
Yes.
So that is the work of Jesus Christ. But after 1844, the angels will
Blot out the names.
the names of all the names that was being blotted by Jesus Christ.
Yes. And after that, all the names of the righteous will be retained on that book.
Yes.
And then transferred to the Lamb's Book of Life. Sealed. Yeah. See, can you please?
Next diagram. Let us ever remember, brothers and sisters, that is from 1832 to 1843, 10 years.
Yes, according to inspiration, according to our reading, we will not read again the passage, but it is found in our studies
Yes.
that God the Father will not allow any names of the wicked to be entered into the most holy place. So therefore, it is necessary to understand the work. That is the work of in the holy place. That Jesus Christ will blot the names of the wicked, so that when He enters into the most holy place, only the names of the righteous are retained. So continue.
So here, so all the names are already blotted out. Then what happened next is, before the veil will be open, all the books will be brought into the second heaven. All the names, including those wicked names that are mingled with the righteous.
Yes.
Am I right? So this one. And then,
all the names of the wicked, the books that contain the names of the wicked will be brought down to the second heaven. Because when in October 22, 1844, when the veil will be lifted up, all the sanctuary in the third heaven
become
most holy place. And remember the principle. Let us read in 2SR page 184. I will read. The virgin were called to meet Him, and thus by faith go in with Him to appear before the Father, the great Judge. The Father. The seal is the permit. it places their names in the Lamb's book of life, and thus it grants them the right to appear before the Father in the judgment, not in person but in figure. Thus their seeds are being blotted out. So let us remember that the seal is the permit. Only those whose names are written in the Lamb's book are brought to the presence of God the Father, to the most holy place. Because that is the principle, right, Sister Anabari? He will not allow the names of the wicked to enter into the most holy place. So continue. You see.
So that's why the books is brought down to the second heaven. The 64 books, the 64 books, and the 2 books remain in the most holy place.
That is we're saying in what happened in October 1844. Yes, the names of the book containing the names of all the righteous, beginning with Adam and to the close of probation. We read the different passage. So again, okay, again, Sister Lords, continue with your point.
So let us read here into SR page 215. The 2 apartments were separated by a veil. In the Day of Atonement, the veil or door of the earthly tabernacle was opened and the high priest went in. But let it be remembered that the door or veil was left open while the high priest officiated. Thus, the 2 apartments became one. So here is the illustration here. On October 22, the veil was lifted up. So, when the veil was lifted up, the object which we can see here, especially the altar or the golden altar, when the holy place, when the veil was lifted up, the golden altar become pure gold, or the golden candlestick here become pure gold. So that is one of the illustration. Then the books of Jesus Christ will be retained here. Am I right? Then the 64 books will be brought down to the second heaven. 64 books. So as we can see here,
so 64 books, there are 2 books remaining in the third heaven. One is
then the entrance of the holy place will be closed. So there is a deep meaning of this shut door or closed door. There's another subject dealing on that meaning. So continue.
As we said earlier, that what is the present truth? That is the seal in 1 SR page 28. We must conclude that the saints of God are sealed with present truth in all ages. And whatever that present truth is, that is the seal. So seal is the permit. So meaning, those who are being sealed, the righteous, are being sealed because that is their permit to face God the Father, which is in the because the sanctuary became most holy place.
But as we have read earlier, that there is a difference in the first session and the second session. In the first session, the scene of the most holy place, there is a sea of glass, clear as crystal. So that is the first scene. But on the second session, the sea become a sea of glass but mingled with fire. I think that is the difference.
So the first session and the second session.
As we have read earlier.
So basically, we are dealing with the principles. What happened in the judicial proceedings that pertains to the dead, because that is groundwork. Understanding the book of Daniel, because that is found in the book of Daniel. When we study judgment that pertains to the dead, the prophecies that deals with that is the book of Daniel.
Yeah, and in the previous studies, Brother Vince, I remember that the two books that remain there on the most holy and holy place, which is belongs to God the Father and God the Son, it represents the two books of the Bible, which is the book of Daniel and the book of John.
Yes. So that
Brother Vince, Brother Vince.
Brother
Good morning.
GD.
Thank you very much for the
Since we are
participation.
establishing principles, let us also remind ourselves that in speaking of the differences of the first session and the second session, first, the similarities is that both of them have the sea of glass clear as crystal. But when we say that mingled with fire, it doesn't mean that on the second session, the statement that says clear as crystal has been gone.
No,
There is still clear
there.
as crystal, but in addition to that, there's also
Mingled with
mingled
fire.
with fire.
Mm.
Well, that's what inspiration reminds us always.
Mm.
So it doesn't mean when there's already mingled with fire, there's no more clear as, it is no longer clear as crystal.
Mm.
So there's a portion that clear as crystal. At the same time, there's also mingled with fire.
Mingle
So
with
thank you,
fire
Brother
is
JD.
just an addition. Still, the sea of glass, clear
Still
as
there.
crystal, is still there.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother JD. So, ano gusto? Ano? So, mana tayo sa dead? Doon natin sa living. I-establish na kung present of the seal. So now, let's go to the last sealing period, the seventh seal. Again, let us remind ourselves in our previous reading in 1 SR page 28. What is the permit? It is the
seal.
seal. And what is the seal? It is the present truth. So, that is the principle during the dead. So must also with the living. That judgment that concerns the living. Concerns the living is also the present truth during the seventh seal.
So, the seal that pertains to the living, it is the seventh seal.
Yes. Whatever present truth during the seventh seal,
That is the seal.
that is the seal. Of course. So 2 SR page 164. Last part of page 6. Brother Jared.
Says here, unless the close of the judgment for the dead and the commencement for the living be made known to us, we would know present truth while the judgment for the living is in session.
So, Sister Marie, what can you say about that? Sister Lords?
So in short, we will not.
So,
So in short, we will not have present truth if we will not be able to determine when will be the end of the judgment for the dead,
there is the word there, unless.
unless
The first word. Right? Please elaborate. Can you elaborate that, Sister Lords? Or Sister Lourdes or Sister Anna Marie? The word unless. Unless the close of the judgment for the dead and the commencement for the living be made known to us, we would have no present truth while the judgment for the living is in session. First, before we deal with unless, let's go back to a little bit of review regarding the preposition for and of, because it says here judgment for the living. We can also read judgment of the living.
Yes.
But what is the difference between this preposition as a review? Okay.
So let us deal with preposition for. So when you talk about judgment for the dead, so the proceeding on that, the proceeding is in the holy place.
Yes, the preposition
Well,
for the proceeding is in the holy place. Judgment for the dead and judgment for the living.
So,
we must remember the principle that the preposition for that proceeding is held in the holy place.
So
How about of?
Of the preposition of the proceeding will be in the most holy place.
Oh yes,
Will be held in the
most holy place. So now, we have read earlier that the present truth is the seal. We're dealing now with the seventh seal. So, Sister Anna Marie, can you state the importance of this reading? unless the close of the judgment for the dead and the commencement for the living be made known to us, we would have no present truth, while the judgment for the living is in session. Go ahead, Sister Ana Marie. Can you?
So we have to determine when will be the proceeding of the holy place that will be closed, and then
So therefore, because this is pronouncement by God that unless the close of the judgment for the dead and the commencement for the living be made known to us, meaning us, the people of God. Therefore, the close of the judgment for the dead and the commencement for the living, God will reveal it to His people. Because if He will not reveal to His people, we would have no present truth. So therefore, it is necessary. It is very important that this event, the close, the judgment for the dead, and the commencement, judgment for the living, will be made to His people. Will be made
known
to us.
Because that is very important, Brother Vince, because it is the way that the God's people will be prepared when it comes to their case.
Yes, because it is our very own case for the living. Because again, let's go back to our principle. That is the present truth in our time, because we would have no present truth if these events are not revealed, right?
So before we proceed, any question? Is there any question out there? Hello? Nothing? So
question, Sister, Brother Ricardo. When the veil was lifted up, according to our...
Of course. So, of course, it was lifted up in October 22, 1844. But before the veil was lifted up, all the books on October 21, all the books are already in the second heaven.
So the answer to that question is, according to Great Controversy, the veil was lifted up on October 22, 1844. And the whole sanctuary in heaven became most holy place.
Please give him mic.
Earth, that is earthly.
Holy.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that
It's
question.
an earthly sanctuary.
So let us remember that in the earthly sanctuary, the holy place, starting with time of Moses, is very sacred. No one can enter except the high priest. High priest can only enter, because if anyone enters in that place,
They will be dead.
he will die. So it means in the earthly sanctuary during the death of Jesus Christ, 3 o'clock p.m., the veil was opened, or the veil was
What is that? What is the term?
cut off or divided into two. It just shows to the Jewish people that what they believe, what they assume to be a sacred place, the sanctuary, is no longer a sacred place. Because no one dies. Everyone can see. Everyone can see that. Even an ordinary people, after the veil was lifted up, anyone can see the most holy place. Whereas it has been protected by God during the time of Moses. So there must be a significance for that event to the Jewish people. God just wants to show them that what they believe is a holy place is no longer considered by God as the holy, as a place of sacredness.
But it was counterfeited by Satan. That assuming that it is still holy place. In actuality, it was already transferred to the
heavenly sanctuary. So the ministration of Jesus Christ, you mean the ministration or the sacrificial services? Jesus Christ is the last sacrificial service, sacrificial lamb, and His ministration will begin. That is the Christ ministration begins in the crucifixion, right? And its continuation in the sanctuary in heaven. Brother Ricardo?
Mike, please.
Yes. Mas holy.
Holy.
You know, after Jesus Christ died, the veil was lifted up. Did the atmosphere become most holy? You know how the box?
He's talking about the sanctuary, earthly sanctuary.
And there's sanctuary. What happened in the literal sanctuary that was
The
built?
place is still there, but the sacredness of that place is no longer in that place. It's already in heaven. It's only a structure. But I think the Satan is
Although,
continue believing
Brother Rex is correct that
Right.
when the veil will be lifted up, or during the death of Jesus Christ was scratched or being cut off, the whole place, the whole sanctuary should be all most holy place, considered most holy place, and everyone who enters there and who sees the most holy will die. But it did not happen.
Yes.
So there's a significance for that.
In the death of Jesus Christ, the sanctuary became really
Most holy.
But the cleansing of the sanctuary is always in 1844. Meaning to say that the sanctuary become most holy, but the holy place not cleansed.
Sanctuary, third heaven ang na-cleanse. So during that time, the cleansing of the sanctuary in 1844,
It is in the third heaven.
yes, it is in the third heaven. But it is still a cleansing, meaning a process, because in the sanctuary in general, Brother Jerry, is Brother Jerry out there? Or Brother Lance? Cleansing of the sanctuary because
He's comparing the earthly sanctuary. Well, as we all know that the sitting up the judgment is
ang gisi sa earth mo siguro?
Di ba
only earthly.
di ba pagkamatay ni Jesus Christ ang veil
Sa earth, sa sanctuary katong sa yuta nga na.
sa yuta ang salangi.
Sa lang.
Wala
There's
wala pa na
no judicial proceedings
Wala
yet
pa.
in the heavenly sanctuary. Because according to great controversy, that in 1844, the ministration of Jesus Christ was how many centuries?
1,800.
180. So meaning 44 AD.
44 AD.
The proceedings in the heaven begins in 44 AD.
Yeah. Backward in yes.
Oh,
Backward in 44 AD, that is a special session which is done in the second heaven. But in actuality, the session it's done in the third heaven. That is really the Christ ministration, which is the blotting of the names.
I think sa paggisi sa kurtina katong pagkamatay ni Jesus Christ, that is only Brother Jedi.
Oh yes.
Yes. The sacredness was gone.
Yes.
Oh.
There's no value.
But there's no proceeding yet in the heavenly sanctuary during the yes.
That's it.
Because Jesus Christ is still lying unconscious in his grave.
Mao bitaw di pagpamatuod nga nagisi ang tabil tungod kay bisag ni sulod na sila wala na sila madaot.
Nothing happens, right?
Mao bitaw nga ni-take advantage ang kaaway.
Yes.
Nipuli sila sa ilang pag-opisit sa kaning high priest. Ana. Pero mo na to'y timaan nga wala na dito ang katong sacredness, ang holiness, nga katong pagkasagrado nga kung si bisan kinsa nga musulod nga dili high priest mamatay siya.
Yes. That's it. Thank you, Brother Rick.
This is really the point what happened in 31 AD.
So ang libro kano saan nagsugod pagbutang sa holy place? O sa man heavenly lang katong earthly lang katong hitabo o apil ang heavenly? Kay gi-cleanse ba ang heavenly tungod kay nahugaw? Mo bito tong ingon nga nahugaw tungod kay bisan ang even the construction was cleansed because of the katungan ni mga dugo sumananap nga gi-bisibis
It's
dito.
only the photograph of the heavenly sanctuary.
Brother Jedi, you can say something?
Mga buksa. Amen.
Even those transactions. So even during the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, those people who received the present truth, their names are already written. You mean to say, Brother JD?
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's the. Oh, how about those who were living prior to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ during the Old Testament? The same procedure, right? That their names will be written in the book of the sea, represented by the sea. But there's no still book transaction. There's no still investigation. There's no investigation. Yes. Yeah. So, but
Kaya ang mga libro, gilimpyuhan, mo itong nagikanaog tungod kay mixed multitude to siya. Ana. So, ang paglimpyo sa sanctuary, kato ng pag-end sa 2,300 days.
Yes. The 2,300 was ended in 1844 from
the sanctuary is cleansed.
457 BC up to. But then the sanctuary that was
the sanctuary is cleansed, right? After 2,300 days, the sanctuary is cleansed. Cleansed.
Yeah.
The term, am I right, Brother JD? The term is cleansed, meaning it refers to the third heaven. Because it's cleansed, meaning all the names of the wicked are being brought down to the second heaven.
The
third heaven is cleansed after 2,300 days.
That is the special event mentioned in Revelation chapter 4, the cleansing of the sanctuary, the termination.
But
of
still,
the 2,300
maybe in our next point, we will deal when will the second heaven will be cleansed also, because that will also be cleansed, right?
Yes.
Because in the third heaven there is atonement, which is the final cleansing for the third heaven. There is also a final atonement for final day of atonement for the second heaven. That the second heaven will be declared. The second heaven is cleansed.
I think the cleansing of the second heaven before the great multitude will be gathered.
Yes.
Yes, that
Because
is.
before the gathering of the great multitude, be sure that the second heaven is already cleansed, purified. The church is already purified. All the bookwork transaction have been closed, for it is already cleansed and purified. That is why the great multitude needs no investigation to their cases, because they are all righteous.
Yes. So we are dealing now first the first day of atonement, or the first final day of atonement that pertains to the dead, and next the final day of atonement that pertains to the living.
Just hang out there, my dear brothers.
So thank you for that question. Thank you for that question.
It's still on the first part of the.
Again, we will remind our online audience who are listening abroad. In case you did not catch up our study, you can search in our YouTube channel, The Layman's Movement, and you can watch the full episode of the special message 10 days before the great and final day of atonement, special episode number 2, and all other different studies, episode 1, so on. It's 66 books. There are lots of subject actually written in that book, in that channel or in our Facebook page.
So we are in the.
So
any more questions?
Let us have first the Okay, let us proceed.
Simple.
Let's have first the interval song. Let us give to the simple ones.
Good morning, everyone, and have a feast of trumpets. We would like to offer a song which is entitled I Believe.
I believe that you are Lord, the rock of ages cleft from me. I believe that you are Lord, the Son of God who sets me free. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe that you are here, and I will praise you 'cause I believe.
And as I come into your presence, Lord, and as I bow in you before your throne, I'm worthy a sinner, but now you're near. And as I tell you all my sins and desires, and as I pour my heart before your grace, I've come to understand your glory, that you are holy.
I believe that you are Lord, the rock of ages cleft from me. I believe that you are Lord, the Son of God who sets me free. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe that you are here, and I will praise you 'cause I believe.
Seek your face, your ways, your strength, the bread of life in you must live. Come to honor your name. Worthy is the Lamb.
And as I sing to you, Hosanna, hallelujah, the angel spirit shout that you are King of kings. I'm worthy a sinner, but
Okay. Hello. So let us continue our study.
So now we're going to give proof or discuss about the point that the second heaven will also be cleansed. Right? The third heaven, as we have shown, we have give many passages that on October 22, 1844, that is the fulfillment of Daniel chapter 8, verse 14, right? So that after the 2,300 days, the sanctuary will be cleansed. Will be cleansed, that meaning all the names of the wicked was being brought down to the second heaven. So there are no more. All the names that remain there in the third heaven are all the names of the righteous. So now let's proceed. So to understand the judgment that pertains to the living, we must understand the groundwork, which is the judgment that pertains to the dead. And when we say judgment that pertains to the dead, what book, Sister Anamari, that we need to understand? It is the book of
Daniel.
Okay.
So when we understand the book of Daniel, meaning let us also understand first. Also understand the book of John, by which it is pertains to the living.
To is our page 9. The message in page 9. To is our page 9. The message in this volume was prophetically timed by the parable of the householder who sent his laborers into his vineyard. Matthew chapter 20. Now, proving to be the 11th hour. 11th hour called the last and at the right time. This prophetic call is based on the prophecies of Daniel. So this prophetic call, what call that is based on the prophecies of Daniel?
It is the
11th hour.
11th hour call. So now let's proceed to that point. And let us remember that the book of Daniel will be fully understood during the
judgment.
During the time of the end. Okay. A symbolic code, please read, Brother Jared. Symbolic code. Number 3. Number 3, numbers 8 to 10, page 8.
It says here, the time of the end is the period just before the end of the world.
So we all know that the time of the end in specific term begins in 1844. So when the book of Daniel is understood, completely understood, then the time of the end ended. So the statement there, it says that the time of the end is
the period just prior to the end of the world.
When we talk about end of the world, it pertains to the 11th hour.
Because that is the last call regarding Matthew 20, right? The 11th hour call. That is the period of the 11th hour call. But prior to that period, the time of the end is that the period of the time of the end, right, Sister Anna Marie? Prior to the period of before the end of the world, to the 11th hour call. So therefore, during the 11th hour call, because as you said earlier, that the book of Daniel will be fully understood in the period of the time of the end, and the time of the end begins in 1844. So therefore, before the end of the world, or what is the end of the world? The 11th hour call, the book of Daniel will be
completely understood.
Completely understood. And that is particularly the judgment message, right? Because we cannot understand the judgment or the judicial proceedings without understanding the book of Daniel. Okay. Sorry.
Now, the inspiration brought us the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 10, by which the focal point or the...
Yes, you mean the Revelation, because those two books are very important if we study the judgment. So, go ahead. The book of Daniel
So
will
the
be more fully understood according to 2TG number 12, page 30, during the judgment of the living. You see, one of the important books or chapters in the book of Revelation is chapter 10 and 11. So, all right, go ahead,
It's
Sister Namari.
the book of Revelation chapter 10, the focal point here is the book of Daniel.
That's why they are very related, interconnected. So, 12 symbolic code number 2, page 3, Brother Jared. So, speaking of Revelation chapter 10, because the focal point of Revelation chapter 10, as you have said, is the book of Daniel. So, Revelation chapter 10, verses 5 to 7, Brother Jared.
It says here, and the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, and swore by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea, and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he hath declared to his servant the prophets.
So, it says there, let's go to the last part. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, that is Revelation chapter 5, right? Chapter 10. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished. Okay, Sister Anauri. When does the voice of the seventh angel begins?
So it begins on the 7.
And what does it mean? There, we have two questions. What does it mean? When does the voice of the seventh angel begins to sound? And what does it mean? Because it says here, when it begins to sound, the mystery of God should be finished. So what does it mean by the mystery of God should be finished? So now let's connect this to the writings of... Okay, Sister Lourdes, please read.
So here in the writings of the Jones and Wagner, I think, that is, if we can gather any idea of what the watchman means, the angel of chapter 10 is the seventh angel. His message is the sum total of the three messages.
So his message, the angel of chapter 10 is the seventh angel. His message is the sum total of three messages. Yes. What do you mean by that, Sister Ana Marie?
It means it is compacted.
Yes, the summary. No? The inspiration says that the sum, meaning the summary of the message that pertains to the third angel.
Yes, the three angels' messages, the sum total. Of course, if you say the three angels' message, that includes the first angel, the second angel, and the third angel's messages. It contains the life and death message, right? And what is because it is the third angel's message, it is the sum total of the three angels' message. What is the message of the third angel?
It's directly pointing to Christ's mediatorial work in the heavenly sanctuary.
So that is
according to the Great Controversy 434, 435, and 436, the third angel, the messages of this chapter constitute a threefold warning, meaning the three angels' messages, right? Which is to prepare the inhabitants of the earth for the Lord's second coming. Okay, that is the second coming, the invisible coming, which is Christ's mediatorial work in the heavenly sanctuary. Now let's go. Let's go forward to in other words, the three angels' messages. We say the sum. Let's simplify. The sum total of the three angels' messages is in other words, that is the summary of Christ's mediatorial work in the heavenly sanctuary. So studying or understanding the three angels' messages is understanding the Christ's mediatorial work in the heavenly sanctuary, right?
So the declaration of the seventh angel in Revelation 10, 5, 6, and 7, that is the mystery of God.
Yes, the voice of the seventh angel, when it begins to sound, the mystery of God should be finished.
Yes,
that is the declaration.
Yes.
That the mystery of God should be finished.
So what is the mystery of God?
That is concerning
The-
the plan of salvation.
In the Desire of Ages, page 22, that is what is being said. That the plan of our salvation is the revelation of the mystery of God, right? It's just going to say that the mystery of God, or in other words, the mystery of God is the plan of salvation. It will be fully revealed.
So before going to the seventh trumpet, let us first the sixth trumpet. You cannot pass the seventh trumpet without passing the sixth trumpet. So let us go to the sixth trumpet.
So the subject concerning the sixth trumpet, may only the sixth trumpet, but all the trumpets. Let us distinctly separate the occurrence that takes place in heaven and the occurrence that takes place in earth. The occurrence that takes place in the heaven precedes the occurrence that takes place on earth. That is the particular object in view, the occurrence that takes place in heaven.
Okay. So there is a more detailed study on that, in particular the seven trumpets, right? And we say that Sister Anna is only giving the principle. Let us separate. When we study trumpets, let us separate the occurrences in the heavenly sanctuary and the earth, right? And we must not interchange the events because, of course, there are really prophecies that are really happen on heaven and on the earth. So we must not be confused by that. So again, as I have said, there are detailed studies regarding that subject. Now, speaking of trumpets, in 12 symbolic code number 2, page 3, Brother Jared.
It says here, the angels swore that there should be time no longer. I think I understand how we as Seventh-day Adventists interpret time no longer. But these two verses, when read together clearly show that what kind of time is to be no longer.
Okay, what time? In this three verse, this is still in Revelation chapter 10, right? Regarding the meaning of time no longer. For it is during the time the sixth trumpet that the angel said, there shall be time no longer. Again, it is during the time of the sixth trumpet that the declaration was made. There will be time no longer.
So that is not during the period of the seventh trumpet. It is during the time the sixth trumpet.
So let us distinctly separate the word sounding and the period,
Yes.
right? Because period does not overlap. Meaning period of the sixth trumpet, it will not overlap with the seventh trumpet period. But the sounding may overlap, right? May overlap. And let us, according to our reading in Revelation chapter 10, that when the seventh angel sounded, what is the declaration? The mystery of God
is finished.
And when will that angel sound? During the period?
During the time or the period of the sixth trumpet.
Where is the occurrence? In the
heavenly
sanctuary. So, the seventh angel declaring that the time no longer, it happens during the period of the sixth trumpet. Now, let's read tract number 5, page 78.
The sixth trumpet, Revelation chapter 9, verse 13 to 11.
So that is the
14.
Revelation 9,
13 to 11, 14.
yes, Revelation chapter 9, verse 13 up to Revelation 11, verse 14. That verses deals with the sixth trumpet. So therefore, Revelation chapter 10, verses 5, 6, and 7 is included in that. Is included in the bracket.
Sixth trumpet.
When the seventh angel made a declaration, right? As you have read in 12 symbolic code number 2, page 3. The seventh, it is found in Revelation chapter 10, verses 5 to 7, when in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, that is found in Revelation chapter 10, verses 5 to 7, that is included in the bracket. Tract number 5, page 78, within that bracket. So, within the bracket of the sixth trumpet. But in the bracket, or meaning in the period of the sixth trumpet, the seventh angel begins to sound. And that significance, when the seventh angel begins to sound, the mystery of God is finished.
It should be finished.
Finished. Okay. There is a mystery of God that has been finished. And we all know that the mystery of God is finished, meaning that is the plan of redemption. So continue reading, Brother Harid, in Revelation chapter 9, verse 13 and 14.
And the six angels sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying, the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates.
So there is a voice there, voice from the four horns of the golden altar. The voice came from the golden altar.
So as we all know that the golden altar is located in the holy place.
Yes, before the God the Father, or before, because God the Father is in the most holy place. So before the most holy place, there is as you see previously in our diagram, there is the four horns of the golden altar.
So when the voice coming from the golden altar, that is the voice of God the Son,
Jesus Christ,
from the holy place. But when it is came from the most holy place, that is the voice of God the Father.
So thank you for that, Sister Anna Marie. And now, let us distinctly separate the sixth trumpet in the judgment that pertains to the dead, and the sixth trumpet that pertains to the living. The sounding of the sixth trumpet in the judgment that pertains to the dead commenced in 1833, while Jesus Christ was still in the holy place.
That is not the perfect fulfillment, Brother Vince. Because as we all know, when the trumpet is sounded, then the four angels will be loose. But then that is not a perfect fulfillment, because the 1,260 days is already expired. So it is only a groundwork.
So we can say, again, we have a detailed study on that. But why we can say that the trumpet sounded in 1833? What is the significance of that trumpet?
That Jesus Christ.
Let's go back to the earthly sanctuary, the one that was built by Moses during those time. There is a feast called the Feast of Trumpets. In fact, we are celebrating it right now.
10 days Feast of Trumpets. So within that, so as we all know that 1 day is equivalent to 1 year. So that is 10-day Feast of Trumpet equivalent to 10 years. Right? So the same as we are celebrating now, 10-day Feast of Trumpets. So the trumpets will be sounded before Jesus Christ will enter to the most holy place. Right?
So the purpose of that, during the sounding of that, the 10 days Feast of Trumpets, to prepare the people for the coming day of atonement. Right?
To afflict their souls.
Yes. So that is illustrated during the judgment for the dead. And the trumpet sounded in 1833 because 10 days prior, 10 years prior, as you said, that 1 day is equivalent to 1 year. That is prophetic equation according to the book of Ezekiel. right? Prior
It's
to
from 1833 to 1843.
yes,
Oh,
because prior
years.
to when Jesus Christ entered into the most holy place, there must be a sounding of the trumpet,
Trumpets.
and the trumpet sounded in 1833.
So there is 10 years and then the 10 days, right? 10 years, 1833 to 1843, and then there is a 10 days also, which to prepare 10 days Feast of Trumpets.
Yes.
So
Then the day of atonement.
So according to the shepherds, that the trumpet represents a message of warning.
Yes.
So we have said earlier that the sixth trumpet begins to sound in 1833. So there must be a message in 1833. Who gave the message?
William
William
Miller.
Miller.
What is the message of William Miller
Midnight
according to
cry.
2SR page 181?
it is a midnight prayer.
Yes, according to 2SR page 181, the midnight cry was first proclaimed prior to 1844. That is 1833. It was proclaimed by
William Miller.
William Miller.
But
And-
then
okay, go ahead.
they experience disappointment.
Midnight cry is found in Matthew chapter 25.
20,
So
25.
let's go to the perfect fulfillment of Matthew chapter 25 on
Yes.
proclamation of Matthew on proclamation of the midnight cry, right? Because there was a midnight cry that was proclaimed in 1833, and we can read again in our previous reading that is only a groundwork.
Can you show us please the diagram?
Sige, go ahead, Sir William.
So we all know that the midnight cry. We all know that the midnight cry that what's happened to, in the period of during the time of William Miller is just a groundwork. It is because of
Not a proper application.
concerning the midnight cry. And also, when we talk about midnight cry, there is no disappointment there. Whereas during the time of William Miller, they have disappointment.
Because the parable in Matthew 25, the 10 virgins,
have
there's
disappointment.
the 10 virgins did not experience disappointment, only
A delay.
Okay. Sige. So let us now compare. Sister Anna Marie established the fact that Matthew 25 does not refer to the perfect fulfillment of that parable, is not pointing to William Miller, because it is contrary to proper applications for many reasons. But let us give only one, because the wise virgin did not experience disappointment, only a delay, because the bridegroom, his coming was delayed, right? Whereas William Miller, they believe that Jesus Christ will come in October 22, 1844. But what happened?
They experience disappointment.
That is that is the fulfillment of Revelation chapter
10.
10. What is that particular verse, Sister Anna Marie? Or can you state the verse that is the fulfillment of William Miller, the disappointment? It seems that
Revelation chapter 10 verse 10. Sweet in their
sweet in their mouth, but
when
they experience
disappointment,
bitter in their belly, just like illustrated like that. So, but the perfect fulfillment of Matthew 25 is delay. They did not experience disappointment, but they will experience delay. Okay, Sister Lourdes.
So we already taken up about the midnight cry in the 1833 to 1843. There is a midnight sounding of the sixth trumpet. Hey. There is sounding of the sixth trumpet. As well, no, it is indirectly applied to the judgment for the living. So
indirectly applied to the dead.
Indirectly applied to the dead. Then there is a sounding of the sixth trumpet in the judgment that pertains to the living.
The living, because as we have said earlier, that the judgment for the dead is only a groundwork. When you say groundwork or type, there must be also be an antitype. That there is a sounding 10 years or 10 in actuality what happened in 10 days or 1 day is a year. So therefore there in the judgment that pertains to the dead there is a sounding 10 years of 10 years, so must also during the judgment that pertains to the living there is also a sounding.
There is a sounding, as you all know here.
Okay,
There must be a sounding of the time when Jesus Christ was still in the holy place. So there is a sounding.
And it is also 10 years from.
So the same as in the perfect fulfillment in the judgment that pertains to the living, there is also a sounding. And the difference is in the judgment that pertains to the living, there is a disappointment, while in the judgment that pertains to the living, no more disappointment, but
we will
only delay, experience only delay.
So that is why we have a previous subject, delay and disappointment. I think that was yesterday. When was that? When Brother Ariel made a special program, message the other day. So you can view that in our YouTube channel or in Facebook. Okay, Sister Lords.
That is the concerning delay and
disappointment. Because in reality,
from that year 2011 up to this in that year, within that year we experienced delay.
Yes.
Isn't it? We all know that we experience delays, not delay but delays. But
what do you mean by delays, Sister Anna Marie? When we have some miscalculations, right? You say in Ezekiel chapter 4, there's a cow's dung and man's dung. You can relate that on our study. We have some false expectation. But we will have, but the last movement will no longer experience disappointment, right? Because it is the only prediction that will happen to the last movement or the 11th hour movement is the delay. Okay, continue, Sister Lords.
So the sounding of the voice is coming from the golden altar, so that is in the holy place, right? So here, as we all know that the sounding of the sixth trumpet, and then before that sixth trumpet ends, the seventh trumpet begins.
Before the period of the sixth trumpet, before it ends, the seventh trumpet already begins to sound.
Yes.
So it begins to sound in
during the sixth trumpet. So it begins to sound 2011.
Yes, 2011, because that is 10 years prior to
the final day.
Yes, right. Because in 18, let's go back to our previous diagram. Previous diagram. Because what happened in the judgment that pertains to that is just a pattern.
Yes.
What happened in the judgment pertains to the living. As we have discussed earlier, that prior to the October 22, 1844, the trumpet was being sounded. It sounded in 1833, announcing that there will be a day of atonement, that the names of the wicked will be blotted by Jesus Christ. Of course, the blotting begins that year. And after that, on October 22, 1844, the angels begin to blot out all the names of the wicked. So, must also with the judgment that pertains to the living, that in May 19, 2011, there's announcement that the bridegroom will not cry, the bridegroom is coming. So during this period of time, during these 10 years, particularly these 10 days, specifically these 10 days, we're now we're still announcing that there will be a final day of atonement. The names of the wicked will be
erased,
will be blot.
Blot that first, but on the final day of atonement, which is March 27, all the names will be blotted out.
Yes, because blotting out will happen only on the day of atonement. That is
very awful, Brother Vince, that the people of God must understand what really the meaning of this sounding of the trumpet. Especially these 10 days, it is very, what we call that one, sacred, or what we call that one, very meaningful.
Yes.
So, to repeat again, brothers and sisters, from May 19, 2011 up to March 27, 2021, that
10
is
years.
10 years.
10 Day of Atonement.
Oh.
Napulog ka
Next,
Day of Atonement.
next
Day,
diagram, please.
In actuality, that is
Atong
10
preview.
years from
Sige.
2011 up to this
That
time,
one.
2021,
Thank you.
that is 10 years.
Ito.
Oh.
Sige ka na. Sige.
Oh. So that is the sounding.
This is 10 years from 2011 to Gizum. 2011 up to March 27.
Let us again repeat that we have discussed earlier the cleansing of the third heaven.
Oh.
Right? In October 22, 1844, the third heaven is cleansed. Now we are now dealing, when will the second, the fulfillment, when the second heaven will be cleansed. There is also a final day of atonement that the names of the wicked will be cleansed. Okay, go ahead. Sister Damari.
So the sounding of the sixth trumpet, the perfect fulfillment from 2011 up to 2021. So,
Okay. May 19, 2000.
kato sa ibalik tong previous nga diagram. Dire.
Okay.
When the sounding of the sixth trumpet. Within this period, 10 years, we experience delay. Yeah. Then, after that, before March 27, 2021, we have 10 days, literal 10 days, Feast of Trumpets, and we are now in the 6th day, isn't it?
Yes, 60.
Oh, yes. Before
The final day of
before
atonement,
March 27, 2021,
which is the final day of atonement.
the final day of atonement, there are literal 10 days Feast of Trumpets. Here, 10 years, symbolical.
Within 10
days,
years, within
oh.
10, the 10 year, in the
Then-
10th year,
Then
there's a,
the final day of atonement on March 27, 2021.
okay, the next diagram, dito sa
next
diagram.
diagram.
So, the next diagram, katong kanina. Okay, okay,
And-
Sister Mary.
Within this period from April 1, 2020,
This is what happened in the second heaven. This is what happens in the second heaven, right? Is it to May 19? Okay, start from May 19.
from May 19, 2011, that is the sealing of the 144,000. God's people experienced delay. To April 1, 2020, that is the beginning of the sounding of the seventh trumpet. No more delay up to March 27, 2021. No. And when March 27, 2021, that is the final day of atonement, blotting out of names, the 10 days Feast of Trumpet ended.
The final day of atonement. This is what is written in 1 SR page 28. The sealing of the 144,000 belongs to the time of the sixth trumpet. So that is the period of the sealing of the 144,000 that belongs to the sixth trumpet.
Then no more delay. The inspiration tell us that within this time no more delay, because in this time God is continually speaking. Diba? Mga kaigsunan, within this time. And the reason why that there is no more delay, because there is time no longer. That is the fulfillment of Revelation 10 verses 5 and 6. There is time no longer.
So this is our admonition, our special message, especially to our brethren out there who are listening with us right now. Right, Sister Anna Marie? That according to this reading in 1 SR page 28, we read in Revelation chapter 8 and 9 of the seven angels with the seven trumpets. These seven trumpets indicate the principal political and warlike events which were to transpire during the time of the gospel church. And we know, and we believe that the gospel church, that gospel church is the church that is during our time, during the Christian dispensation or the gospel dispensation, right, Sister Anna Marie? And as we know, brothers and sisters, one of the points that is brought out by the layman's movement is for us to prepare for the final day of atonement, right? And one of the messages that is being brought out is the point that there are many lessons that we should unlearn. Particularly, there are some who believe that about the new codes. Can you rate about that, Sister Anna Marie?
There are some people did not believe the new codes. Why? Because they says that the new codes is not published by B.T. Hotep. Oh, but in reality, the new codes is the writings of B.T. Hotep. But after he wrote, he was died. So the reason that
that's why it causes
not the one to publish. Oh.
That's why it causes our limited understanding, apology to our other brothers and sisters out there, because new codes contain some truths that was not revealed.
Yes.
New codes are published after
the death of Brother Hotep.
Because if we believe that, if our principle will be that we will not believe the writings that are being published after the death of the prophet, so the same also with we will not believe many of the books of Sister White, because many of the books of Sister White are not published while she is still living, right, Sister Anna Marie? Many of her books are written, in fact, are written after her death. So that is
also the Bible.
That is a perfect example.
The writers of the Bible are all dead, but they are not the one who published it. The one who published the writings within the Bible is not the writers.
Yes, it was. The Bible we can read now is already published when the writers are already dead. So that is,
and all of us nothing know who published it, isn't it?
So that is one of the object lesson that we should understand, that to have a complete knowledge of the judicial services, we must not reject the books of the new codes, because there are some precious truths written in those books, in those writings, right, Sister Anna Marie?
So, nasabtan ninyo itong amo ang explanation. May pangutanan lang mo ha, kay apil sad mo din ha, kay para sa tama bibo nga isa na. Busy na mo din. Or tabang sad mo mga igsoon, dili kay lalim ha. Dili mo mo kayo. Tabang sa mga.
So, any questions? Dear brothers and sisters?
Questions or addition or
that's why we believe in our previous subject, Sister Anna Marie, since the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation is the books that discusses or prophesied about the judicial services, and according to SR page 164, that every one of us must know when will the judgment for the dead be closed and the opening of the seventh seal. The opening of the judgment that pertains to the living. So therefore, it is very important to understand the book of Daniel and Revelation, and it will be understood during the time of the end. And God will only bestow that, according to Shepherd's Rod, that John truly penned it, that when the actual event had already taken place, God will reveal it to His agency on earth, God's agency on earth. There is a living prophecy, a living spirit of prophecy in their midst. And that church is represented by the spiritual church, that is,
The 11th hour church.
or
Is
the spiritual,
Through the spiritual house.
spiritual house, or the represented by,
The woman.
yes, the woman. What is the description of the woman if we
This cloth
connect it to the present truth or the
with the
truth?
sun.
Clothed with the sun, and under her feet, a foot
moon.
is the moon. The 2SR page 75, Brother Hared.
It says here, therefore the woman clothed with the sun and traveling with child is the period after Israel went out of Egypt.
So, that is the description of the woman. That
So the woman is clothed with the sun when she went out from Egypt.
yes, that is the description when the woman going out of Egypt. And what is the sun? Represented by the sun. Of course, the sun is represented by
a church.
the Bible.
Bible.
The Bible complete, or the Bible contains the complete
66.
farm, or complete, or 66 books, which contains the complete plan of
Of redemption.
redemption. So therefore, that the spiritual house that is represented by the woman or that church must have a complete knowledge of the plan of
Redemption.
redemption. And it will rebuild when Israel is going out of Egypt, right?
So what is where is the
Where does the
ancient Israel resides?
resides? It is in the land of
Goshen.
Goshen. And 1SR page 76, Brother Hared. What does it? And page,
It
1SR page 76.
says here, the land of Goshen stands as a symbol of the United States of America.
So the land of Goshen stands. So the land of Goshen represents the United States of America. So therefore,
Therefore, the woman is no longer there.
because the prophecy is the woman is clothed with the sun when he is out of Egypt.
Oh yeah.
So since, so therefore, what you can say? What do you mean, Sister
So
Lourdes?
so
You can find the woman in the wilderness.
yeah.
Not
So,
in the
in
not
the land of Goshen
in
or
Goshen.
in the states of America. So we cannot find any truth coming from that place because the woman was already out from that place.
You can find the woman that is
In the
clothed with the
wilderness.
sun, not in the United States of America.
It is,
Because that is that is what is being said in the prophecy, the representation. The land of Goshen stands as a symbol of the United States of America. And the woman is clothed with the sun. When John saw that vision, he is not he's going out of Egypt. He's gone out of Egypt. So
Meaning, when that woman is already clothed with the sun, he is out of, he is not in United States of America.
So when you talk about clothed with the sun, she has already all the knowledge that pertains to the plan of redemption.
Who is that woman?
of course, that woman is also that woman has the characteristics as written in Revelation chapter 11 that they are the people that is predicted in Revelation chapter 11 that they follow the Lamb
Wherever he goeth.
goeth. So if our knowledge is just whether we go with, meaning we know what is where is Jesus Christ today, where is Jesus Christ yesterday, because they follow the Lamb wherever he goeth. But if our knowledge is just Jesus Christ is only in the most holy place,
Or
is that can we use the term correct? It cannot be applied. The term whithersoever he goeth cannot be perfectly applied if our knowledge is just in the most holy place, right? So we must know where the Lamb will go because we will follow him whithersoever he goeth, because that is what is stated in Revelation chapter 11.
Yes, the focal point of that is his ministration.
Yes, his ministration.
There are some Sabbath keepers that their only knowledge is only the entering of Jesus Christ in the most holy place in
October 22.
1844.
Yes.
They just
stick to that knowledge.
Yes.
So,
Oh. So when we talk about whithersoever, we follow the Lamb, whithersoever he goeth, meaning we follow the Lamb, the proceedings that he.
where is the ministration of Jesus Christ?
Oh yes.
Right? If you just listen to our messages, just dig up the different studies in our YouTube channel and our Facebook, the Layman's Movement. You can learn where the Lamb goeth. What is the work of Jesus Christ?
His work in the holy place, his work in the most holy place, and also his work here on
The
earth.
third heaven, the second heaven, first heaven, the earthly sanctuary. Every details of that will be discussed. Is being discussed in our studies, in our YouTube, different videos, many videos, in fact, in our YouTube.
So that is the true people of God. Follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. The most, or more particularly, the his work in heavenly sanctuary.
And this is, as you said, 6th day of the 10-day Feast of Trumpets. We all admonished because we believe in our previous study that the third heaven is being cleansed, right? It is only a pattern of what happened during the judgment that pertains to the dead. And the second and the third heaven, and we believe also that the second heaven will also be cleansed, and that fulfillment, and the fulfillment of that is the final day of atonement, which we believe will happen in this coming March 27, 2021.
And then the proclamation is given, the sin is pardoned and forgiven. That's why we have now we have remaining days. How many days remain? 4 days? No, 3. 3 days or 4 days? We are in the 6 days, so we have remaining 4 days. So in that 4 days, that's why we always discuss, and we always talking about Christ's mediatorial work, because that is the very important, or that is the present truth under the seventh seal. That when we understood this subject, brothers and sisters, the seal is of us. I'm right. I am right, brothers and sisters. This is this subject is the garment or the covering of Christ, so that we can stand, or our names will remain in the book of life, sealed with 7 seals.
So to our listeners abroad, just investigate, because you just investigate the truth that we presented, because we believe that the time is very near. Because the prophecies won't lie. God will not lie. There must be a group of people that God bestowed upon them the complete knowledge of the daily and the sanctuary, meaning the complete knowledge of the book of Daniel and Revelation, which pertains to especially to the judicial proceedings, judicial proceedings or Christ's mediatorial work. So
any question? That's all for now. We will give.
So let us give the closing prayer to Sister Glad.
Our dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the program this morning. Thank you, Jesus, for guiding us, for allowing us to study your words, and for giving us the information concerning the plan of redemption. And we pray that you will bless the entire Layman's Movement, and you will always be with us. And our desire that we are pleading to your name, that our names will be retained in the book in this coming day of atonement, that all of us, from the oldest to the little children, none of us will be missing, and that our names will forever be retained in their book. And we also pray that you will bless the message, especially to Brother Ariel, that the listeners, they will open their hearts and their minds, that they will also accept this precious message that will lead them to salvation. Thank you so much, Father, for hearing and answering our prayers, and forgive us from all our sins. Thank you for this wonderful day that you have given to us. In the loving name of Jesus Christ. Amen.